Support for Just Seen It comes from Acorn, distributors of the detective drama Jack Taylor, starring Game of Thrones Ian Glenn. More information is available at acornonline.com/PTV. Support for Just Seen It comes from Warner Archive Instant. Streaming hard-to-find movies and TV shows direct from the studio at WarnerArchiveInstant.com. A body is found on a bridge that connects the U.S. with Mexico. Two cops from either side discover a serial killer is on the loose. Together, they join forces to hunt down the murderer in the new FX series, The Bridge.
Hi, I'm Rachel.
I'm Liz.
And I'm Sean. Let's take a trip across the bridge and talk about the first 3 episodes of the new crime drama from FX. We've all just seen it. Liz, tell me about The Bridge.
Well, you alluded to it a little bit. It's a crime drama, and it revolves around several stories that have to do with the bridge between the U.S. and Mexico.
This show is actually based off of another show that takes place at the Swedish-Danish border. And it was taken to now be located between Texas and Juarez. There are some cultural issues here because we have Mexico portrayed in just about the worst light.
I don't think that Mexico is portrayed badly. I mean, we've really only seen from Mexico a pretty decent cop, played by Demian Bichir, who's trying to do the right thing. We've seen the bureaucracy of the police department. We've seen the bureaucracy,
and we know that out of like the 200-some murders, they never investigate properly. Everyone says, oh, all the police get paid off.
But that's the PD of Juarez, Mexico. I don't think you can take that as a microcosm and say the entire nation of Mexico is portrayed badly.
I'm just saying that city in particular. There are a lot of subtitles in the show, and I think that it is trying to get more viewership from, a quickly growing demographic. And I'm wondering if it's going to interest Latino viewers or if they're going to feel offended a little bit by some of these portrayals.
It's a slow build of a show. You've got this subplot with the Annabeth Gish character Charlotte. Her late husband has a tunnel underneath his property that he's bringing in immigrants. I don't know how that's going to work itself into the series, but it probably will. I think it will at some point.
The show has a lot of slowly unraveling mysteries.
Sure.
And so, again, it's that idea of, is it too soon to say what the show is about? But they all revolve around the bridge.
It's a tale of two cities, essentially. It's
Sure.
Juarez and El Paso, Texas. So, I mean, there's a million different stories you could tell within those two towns. I mean, but basically, we're going to concentrate on the serial killer element.
Cristina Fuentes is only one of 250 girls who disappeared last year.
So you have a serial killer?
No one knows.
I do believe the show is going to be about the relationship of this fellow who is a sweet and lovely detective and this woman who, in the writing, I'm not sure what they're trying to do, but she's a very odd pairing for him.
So Diane Kruger plays the detective that we're speaking of here, Detective Sonia. Mm-hmm. And I agree, we're not quite sure what the writing is doing to this character, but basically it feels like a Homeland ripoff where we have a character with emotional problems that we don't really know fully what's going on.
Sure.
Can you sit?
No, actually I can't.
You're irritating me.
We have Sherlock and we have like some of these other shows where we have men with these disorders.
Right.
But there's always something where like, oh, he's weird, but he's brilliant. Or, House, where he's mean, but he's brilliant. And here we have this character who doesn't seem to be brilliant. That is my issue with it, is that she's written so that she's not real competent, she's not good at reading people.
Demian Bichir as Marco Ruiz is the gem of the show. I think he's fantastic. I never saw him in A Better Life, and now I feel like this is my gateway drug to Demian Bichir because he's wonderful.
He is very sweet, he is very genuine, he's charismatic, and he's one of those characters that doesn't get to say that much, so a lot of it's just got to come through his behavior and his way of carrying himself, and I think he really does a great job of conveying like this character with heart.
And I really like Matthew Lillard.
Matthew Lillard and Ted Levine.
And Matthew Lillard gets to play basically a very jerky guy, which is not really something that he's gotten to play before. I think he's really relishing the role. And there's a little bit of comic relief with him too, and he's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, the show itself is a strong show. It has a solid tone that is just consistent from episode to episode. And I like to describe it as classy. I think it's a very classy, restrained television show.
Yeah.
And a lot of the scenes are overcovered, which you notice in things like Mad Men and Walking Dead, where there's artistic coverage instead of perfunctory traditional TV coverage.
Well, the showrunners here are Meredith Stiehm and Elwood Reid. Meredith Stiehm did Cold Case. She created Cold Case, so she's used to that network television programming rather than the cable television programming. Maybe that has something to do with the overcoverage that you're talking about. One thing that's interesting is right now, as far as I've noticed, there's not a political stance in this show. They're basically sort of just allowing us to see the events, and I mean, there's some things going on that they could have a political point of view about.
It's hands off.
But they don't. I'm wondering if it's going to stay that way, or we're actually going to take some sort of stance and point of view with the show. I don't know.
I think we're
doubt it
not.
will.
There's so many people who are coming in with their different perspectives that I think you have to keep all that. I don't think it's going to shift to like one perspective.
It's way too fiery a topic that they're not going to take a stand.
Right.
So it would never.
I think if the show was on HBO, there would be a
Maybe,
stance on this.
maybe.
It'll take a commitment from its viewers, but The Bridge is a patient, interesting story, one that I can recommend. See it.
I'm not fond of the writing for Sonia Cross's character so far, but the rest of the show is great and it's trying to do something a little bit different. So I'm giving it a see it.
The first 3 episodes of this new FX series aren't perfect, but there are enough seeds planted that I'm interested in seeing where it goes next. So I'll give it a mild recommendation. See it. Cheers.
Cheers.
I gotta get over to my bridge game after this.
It all revolves around this bridge. It's about a bridge.
It is. There's a bridge.
It's a bridge.
There's a person who dies. Well, she doesn't die. Well,
Yeah,
that's
she's dead.
Support for Just Seen It comes from Acorn, distributors of the detective drama Jack Taylor, starring Game of Thrones Ian Glenn. More information is available at acornonline.com/PTV. Support for Just Seen It comes from Warner Archive Instant. Streaming hard-to-find movies and TV shows direct from the studio at WarnerArchiveInstant.com.